Welcome to Dai Headlines. I'm Li Wei-Tai. Thank you for joining us. Coming up in the show today, Tzu Chi takes a stand at the Artisan Fair at the UN's 55th Commission on the Status of Women as Zulu volunteers from South Africa share with and learn from others how to make a difference in the community. We visit Baiju Elementary School, the first school Tzu Chi helped build in China, which has helped many poor children living in the mountains see a brighter future. At the United Nations 2011 Commission on the Status of Women in New York City, an artisan fair was also held featuring handcrafts made by women around the world. Zulu Tzu Chi volunteers from South Africa took the opportunity to promote their own accessories. By sharing and exchanging ideas, these participants continue their fight for the rights of underprivileged women.
A meeting room inside the United Nations headquarters in New York City has been transformed into an international handcraft bazaar. At the 55th Commission on the Status of Women Craft Fair, handmade items by women around the world are on display, and each stand has its own touching story. The stall of Through the Eyes of Hope project features photos taken by photographer Linda Smith of Rwanda's orphans and street children.
We teach them the photography workshop, and then when they take a picture, we do the exhibition in New York City and in Rwanda, and that's how they earn the money and go to school, and we help them to get better education.
Queen Mother Coffee, founded by Dr. Dolores Blakely, teaches women in Africa to grow organic coffee and tries to market their products around the world.
To empower women through equity and fairness for them, it is important that they have the right to be able to earn for them and their families.
And from South Africa, Zulu Tzu Chi volunteers also showcase their handmade traditional accessories from the local Tzu Chi vocational training centers.
Some occasions, sometimes we used to wear this and put this like this, and this you put this one, you put it here. Then this helps us, because if we are dancing, we must wear our own cultural things. So we are making money, and also we are making ourselves beauty with these things.
Tzu Chi volunteers from South Africa also eagerly tell others about their work for the country's needy women and orphans.
We want to know other ideas from other organizations. I learn a lot. I discuss with them what I'm doing at Devon. I got many ideas, so that I must go home and motivate my women to do all these things I saw here.
Behind each handmade item is a story of women living under oppression, trying to gain independence and self-reliance. At the United Nations 55th Commission on the Status of Women, participants share their experience and encourage each other to continue to work for the betterment of life of all women.
New Zealand's February 22nd earthquake left downtown Christchurch in ruins, with hundreds still missing. On February 26th, Tzu Chi volunteers held a prayer ceremony at the National Tzu Chi chapter in Auckland to pray for those who lost their homes and loved ones to the quake. Everyone who is here at the Tzu Chi New Zealand chapter seems to be united in one cause: to do something for the quake victims in Christchurch. Volunteers who just returned from the quake-hit areas are eager to do what they can to lessen the pain of the survivors.
We didn't know anyone in the disaster area, not even one Chinese expatriate, but we were so grateful for the warm welcome by the residents, who helped solve our transportation problem by taking us around in a four-wheel drive.
Lighting up prayer candles, even though some of the participants couldn't join the rescue work in Christchurch, through heartfelt prayers, their thoughts are right there with quake victims. A resident of the Xiang'an district of China's Xiamen, Yang Shiyi is close to 80 years old. She has spent the last 30 years taking care of her son, Hong Shumu, who suffers from a paralyzing spinal deformity. Despite their situation, the loving mother and her son keep a positive attitude.
Whenever Tzu Chi volunteers visit, Yang Shiyi makes a point to walk out to greet them before bringing them back to her house in China's Xiamen. Her paralyzed son also can't wait to see the volunteers. Like old friends, the volunteers bring the sense of cheer and warmth to the household during their visits.
Everyone chatting back and forth, it becomes very festive.
Suffering from ankylosing spondylitis, Hong Su-mu has been bedridden for 30 years. All household chores are handled by his 80-year-old mother. Her dedication and love is a moving sight for the volunteers.
Crying all day would not change anything. What I meet in this life, I have to do my best to take care of.
Despite being paralyzed, Hong Su-mu also does his best to contribute. He makes handcrafts that supplement the family's income.
Factory workers will bring over some electronic components to be assembled. Seeing his hands and the speed at which they work, you're just astonished.
Calmly going about their lives, the mother-son pair never complains about their lot in life. Now, with Tzu Chi's help, the aged mother has a stove designed especially for her.
They saw this hump of mine and moved the stove lower, so when I sit here, I can easily bend over.
Hong Su-mu carefully reads his book of Jinsi aphorisms, taking each sentence to heart. The mirror that he carries is another of his ingenious ideas. Turning the mirror left and right till he finds the right angle, he proceeds to watch Dai TV, something that he does every day. As a result, his neighbors now have come to know about Tzu Chi.
Tzu Chi coming over like this to see us, I have not met anyone or any group that has been willing to spend so much time and effort.
Tzu Chi's efforts have brought this mother and son pair into the fold of the larger Tzu Chi family, thus giving them the faith and courage to walk on.
Staying in China, we visit the first school built by Tzu Chi in the country, Baizhu Elementary School, located in Yichun City of Jiangxi Province. The school has been serving children in this remote mountainous region since May of 1997 and helping them pursue higher education. Melted snow only makes the Rocky Mountain Trail muddier and more treacherous.
哦，这是冰块。
对，冰块了。
这是昨天就结冰了，还是晚上？
晚上结的，晚上结的。
In Yichun City of China's Jiangxi Province, students of Feijiantan Township must walk this path to get to school.
学校在哪边？
学校在。
对对。
哇，好远哦。
For more than 10 years, Baizhu Tzu Chi Elementary School has been raising educated and well-mannered students in the township. The school was the first one of its kind to be built by Tzu Chi in China. Since construction began in 1996, the school has helped children living in this isolated mountain region receive a proper education. The school currently has over 100 students, but since it's a Sunday, let's go visit them in their homes instead. With the principal as the guide, we arrive at two students' home. The Wan brothers are just setting up benches outside to do their homework. Though shy in front of the camera, the brothers are quite mature. They study on weekends and also help care for a relative's baby. Under a harsh environment like this, children are forced to grow up early. Many children here are being raised by their grandparents. Lai Yongqing is not the oldest here, but knows how to lead his siblings by example.
读书更好。
以后要读大学吗？
世界嘛读书，世界嘛读书。我就一个孩子就想读书个吃吃好。
Education can help these children escape poverty. Over the years, Baizhu Tzu Chi Elementary has slowly inspired change here.
The school built by Tzu Chi made pursuing an education much easier for our children. Over the past 10 years, several students have continued on to high school and college. Among the nearby villages, we have the most college students.
Wanlan and Wanshen are now both in middle school. When they come home on weekends, they help out with family chores to show their appreciation for the opportunity to pursue a higher education.
Of course, I'm very grateful. I must study hard in order to not fail my parents or myself.
Tzu Chi volunteers are also kind, encouraging us to study hard.
Most of the parents here work in the cities to support their children. Family reunions are few, but the parents are glad to see their children improve over the years.
When there's an opportunity, one must study hard. We adults endure hardships, so to be able to raise our children properly, whether they want to be a teacher or whatever in the future, they need to study hard now.
Even after graduation, graduates remember Tzu Chi's selfless love and keep such compassion close to their hearts.
Thank you, Tzu Chi, for giving us the opportunity to study.
Taiwan's Hualien Tzu Chi Hospital will soon carry out another cross-border surgery to help one young woman from Sri Lanka, Pinalanda Priyanjika Del Rukshi, remove her facial tumor. Priyanjika seemed quite nervous when she first arrived in Taiwan on February 26, but volunteers' warm welcome helped calm her nerves. After a day of rest in Taipei, Priyanjika from Sri Lanka takes a train to Hualien for her surgery in the Tzu Chi Hospital. Self-conscious about the huge growth on the left side of her face, the young Sri Lankan woman covers the tumor up with a handkerchief. Upon Priyanjika and her mother's arrival at the hospital, volunteers break the ice by introducing themselves with the help of an interpreter. The friendly caregivers manage to light up a smile on the nervous girl's face.
We're here to care for her, about how she feels about staying at the hospital. We'd like to know if the food caters to her taste or if she's homesick. We care about all of that.
Caring about even the finest details, like the patient's dietary needs, volunteers made the Sri Lankan mother-daughter pair feel at home.
She's lucky to come to Taiwan for surgery. All of the Tzu Chi volunteers are so friendly and warm and full of love and kindness. I'd like to thank everyone in Tzu Chi for giving my daughter this opportunity.
For Priyanjika and her mother, the trip from Sri Lanka to Taiwan is made easier with Tzu Chi volunteers' company and assistance. Pre-surgery examinations began on February 28th to prepare the patient for a successful procedure. Tzu Chi volunteers continue to look after patients even after they check out of the hospital. When Mr. Xu, a resident of Zhushan and Nantou, was discharged from Daling Tzu Chi Hospital after he was diagnosed with cancer, volunteers stopped by to check on his condition and also lent a hand to clean his house.
Walking into Mr. Xi's house in Nantou, Taiwan, there's garbage everywhere. Suffering from cancer, Mr. Xi has no energy to clean his house over the years. Tzu Chi volunteers get to work, but cleaning under his bed disturbs a host of critters. After the initial shock of the scene, volunteers throw themselves into their task, scrubbing the bedroom, kitchen and bathroom. Water and electricity outlets are fixed and unused furniture is discarded. Slowly the apartment returns to a state of cleanliness.
The inside of the house was extremely dirty. When our volunteers checked on his condition, they recommended that we immediately clean up his home. So we gathered some 20 volunteers to help clean up.
Yesterday, a Tzu Chi sister called and said they wanted to come and help us clean up. I felt embarrassed to put them through that effort, but she said it was no problem at all. Seeing them here today, I feel so thankful.
In the final stages of cancer, Mr. Shi sits in his wheelchair and can only use his eyes to express his thanks. At Darling Tzu Chi Hospital, Tzu Chi was there to help. Once back home, he finds Tzu Chi still there to offer a helping hand. Feeling a deep sense of gratitude is also Zhuang Jinglong. This Zhusan nursing home resident always looks forward to visits by Tzu Chi volunteers. This time the volunteers are accompanied by students from Zhusan Elementary School.
Grandpa, let me tell you, next year and the year after, and the year after, every year I will come visit you, okay?
Love truly brings warmth to a lonely heart and happiness to those that give it.
On this day, the 1st of March, it contains the biggest supervolcano on the continent and is sacred ground to the American indigenous peoples. Yellowstone National Park was created by Congress on this day in 1872. The world's first national park, Yellowstone, was made a World Heritage Site in 1978. Culling and pollution in the North Atlantic led to a dramatic drop in the population of seals, so the Save the Seal Fund established an International Day of the Seal on March 1st to raise awareness of seal welfare. As buildings in Taiwan got taller and fighting fires got tougher, on this day in 1995 the government established the National Fire Agency. Responsible for fire prevention, rescue and first aid, the agency would later establish specialist teams to combat major fires. On the same day, Taiwan's national health insurance system went online, guaranteeing access to health care for all residents. On January 2011, further amendments were passed, changing the way premiums were calculated to cut costs. The Australian Tzu Chi chapter, established on this day in 1997, was Tzu Chi's 5th overseas chapter. It all started in 1990 when the first Tzu Chi volunteer settled in Brisbane and started working together with local clinics to care for the poor. Later, in the aftermath of bushfires, floods and other disasters, Tzu Chi volunteers brought relief to victims. The worst accident in the history of Taiwan's Alishan train happened on this day in 2003, when, at the height of cherry blossom season, on a Saturday afternoon, a packed train overturned, causing numerous casualties. Tzu Chi set up an emergency coordination centre, and volunteers in the south of Taiwan mobilised to support the victims.
The Tzu Chi Australia chapter opened on March 1st, 1997. The importance of that event was illustrated after floods at the beginning of this year, when Australian Tzu Chi volunteers played a vital role in the recovery effort. You cannot talk about the roots of the Australian chapter without mentioning the first seed down under, Wu Zhaofeng. Let's meet the intrepid volunteer who is known to her friends as Julia.
Hello, Mama. Good morning today. Julia. Did you remember Julia?
Speaking softly to the elderly, but volunteering with an iron will, here on this continent in the South Pacific, known as Australia, what motivated Tzu Chi volunteers to settle in this foreign land? In 1990, Wu Zhaofeng, also known as Julia, emigrated from Taiwan to Australia, saying she never forgot something Master Zheng Yan told her.
She said you must have belief, stamina and courage. You have to take care of yourself and make a living out there. I didn't have the background. I wasn't doing business in Australia. I was a mother who had brought her children here to study. But I brought the teachings of Master Zheng Yan abroad.
With that goal in mind, Wu Zhaofeng set out like the Lone Ranger, going to the largest mother's hospital in town, the Catholic Mater Hospital, to knock on the superintendent's door.
When I first went to knock on the superintendent's door, the nun thought I was a money launderer. Later, she said in a public speech that she was afraid I was going to launder money and afraid I was a politician.
Every day is happy day for you.
I thought this is a goodness and a love I have not often met. And I was deeply moved by it. And it took me a while, but then I did grow to believe and to understand and to respect her as a truly truthful, upright and generous woman. I would trust Julia completely.
I went to Mater Hospital once a week. At first I volunteered for 2 days. I would drive my car to call on people who were willing to come with me, picking them up one at a time. My small van would carry 7 people. I picked up families to volunteer to make the first step for Tzu Chi. I didn't care much about my children. Even when they went to school, they'd ask me to take them to school, and I said, I'll take you to the train station and follow the uniform to class.
The migrant mother became the pioneer of Tzu Chi in Australia by mobilizing other mothers to volunteer.
The best sentence I learned to say in English was, "Thank you for giving me the opportunity to help." That moved them.
Thank you, you give me opportunity to help. Thank you, you give me opportunity to help.
It was the best sentence I learned. They wondered how there could be this kind of organization that came to help them and even thank them.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. And good year, good life, and good health. Thank you. 什么叫最苦?
There wasn't a worse moment. My marriage failed, but I didn't give up Tzu Chi. I could give up on my marriage, but not Tzu Chi. I was just married to him in one lifetime. My fate with Tzu Chi goes over many lifetimes, hundreds and thousands of years. I cried at night and volunteered for Tzu Chi in the morning.
Her marriage may have unexpectedly fallen apart in Australia, but Wu Jiafeng made a match with Tzu Chi, becoming the first seed that led to the growth of a chapter in Sydney and more volunteers giving up their time without thought of return.
Happy New Year!
This year, when Brisbane was hit by the worst flooding in a century, Tzu Chi people all over Australia came together to offer their support. With belief, stamina and courage, they volunteer here because they love this country.
Thank you for watching Dai Headlines. Goodbye.